Hi Aries, welcome to your April 2020 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Wow, this is really good for you because obviously a lot of Aries people have their birthdays or solar returns in April. So this is probably a time of year where you usually feel very energized. And when the sun goes into Taurus, we're talking about your second house of earned income. So your money situation may start to improve. And this is something that probably, if you really think about it, you will notice happens year after year, that this is a great time for you and going into May for money matters, but also for a sense of your own purpose and things like that. So as the month begins, the sun is in your sign, so it's the first house. And having the sun in your sign and having it in the first house can feel very energizing and aligned with what you represent. Even if your rising sign is Aries and not your sun sign, it can still feel really good because the first house is the body. And the sun has a very positive effect in general on the individual, and so that kind of thing can certainly come across where you feel like it's like getting a shot in the arm, like rejuvenated. And on the third of the month, Venus goes into Gemini, which is a friendly angle to you because Gemini is a sextile to Aries. And this is your third house. This deals with communication issues, brothers and sisters. There can be harmony. There can be money through teaching and through anything that involves speaking, or even the internet is associated with the 11th house, but it can be the third house to disseminate information as well. And there's general harmony with neighbors and siblings, your local area as well, the environment that within where you live, that can be harmonious for you if there has been any kind of problems. So one thing that I want to say is that if you're listening in probably, I'm trying to think, I don't have the ephemeris up, but I'm recording this in the second week of March. So what this means is that Venus is probably already in Gemini, in Taurus, or soon to be, like within a few days. And that means that that's your second house. So for the first few days of April, you're going to still have Venus in that second house, and Venus rules the second house. So there's a money connection for sure with that. So I just want to kind of give you a little bit extra on that one, because that is going to be carrying over from March. On the 7th, there is a full moon at 18 degrees of Libra. Libra is the opposite sign of Aries. So this affects the 7th house, which is the relationship sector. What can this mean? Well, it can mean a variety of things. One thing it can mean for people who are teetering on the edge, who have already had problems in their relationship, this can be the beginning of the end, where you're just kind of done with it. It's gone as far as it can go. So a marriage that is on rocky ground, or a long-term relationship, or anything that's a committed partnership, or even like a business partnership, that can certainly be the case. However, that's not the only possibility. If you are in a monogamous relationship with somebody, this could be the time when you decide that you're done with, kind of being on the fence, and you want to get married, or you want to, maybe you're not living with that person now, and you want to be. So whatever full commitment means to you, whether it means legal marriage or it perhaps even a there are ceremonies that people do which have a theme of commitment ceremonies, I think they're called. I mean, regardless of the type of relationship, a commitment ceremony can be an alternative to a wedding that's a legal thing. Although weddings are not done, they're usually in churches, aren't they? I don't know. But in any case, that could be something that you decide that you want to commit to the fullest. So the full moon can bring things to the fullest level. You may gain insight about your partner that you didn't have, and that can help you to understand them better. So it can run the gamut, but it can certainly be a time of heightened energy in this particular area. On the 11th, Mercury goes into your sign. So Mercury is going into the first house. When Mercury is in the 12th house, your mind is more abstract or kind of surreal, metaphysical versus, kind of like spiritual, psychic versus practical, linear. And so this is really great when you have Mercury in your sign to convey to others who you are. And where this really comes into play is for people who are looking for work and have to do those wretched interviews where you have to get gotcha questions and things like that and promote yourself. Well, can you tell that that's not my favorite thing to do? But that kind of thing, or if you are somebody who does have, maybe you're an entrepreneur who has a product and maybe you have new products and you just want to sell yourself to clients or what have you, even dating. This could be good for a lot of things actually. And so that's happening. And also Mercury in Aries in general can give a very lively influence to the mind. Mercury in Pisces can be quite spaced out, when it comes to functioning in a practical, worldly sort of way. On the 19th, we have the sun going into Taurus, great for your finances, healing for your finances, creative for your finances, second house. And then a few days after that, on the 22nd, we have a new moon at 3 degrees of Taurus. And very interesting, couple of things here. First of all, this in the United States, we have a holiday. It's not like a national holiday, but it's Earth Day. That's on April 22nd. And we have spring, the northern hemisphere. So it's a time of year when things start to feel very fresh, and the degree of this new moon is 3 degrees of Taurus. So this is occurring, the number 3 is connected to abundance, okay? And even in the tarot, the number 3 card in the major arcana is the Empress, and that is connected to Taurus, to Venus. And it has a connection to abundance and creativity as well. So this new moon in your second house may have an effect that has some kind of rejuvenation, abundance for your, for your material well-being. On the, I didn't put the date down. Oof. We're having a Pluto retrograde that is actually going to be in conjunction with Jupiter, which is direct. I'm just kind of like scrambling here trying to find the exact date. Okay, this is going to be on the 25th. Okay, that's what screwed me up because it's at 25 degrees of Capricorn on the 25th of the month. Pluto retrograde, 25 degrees of Capricorn on April 25th in your 10th house of career and in conjunction with Jupiter. When I was looking this up, because I was just kind of curious what the so-called experts would say about this, and they're talking about power, but it was kind of vague to me. I honestly believe that this could have financial implications in a positive way because Pluto can be about wealth and Jupiter can be about money. And I think, in the 10th house, this could be something that is connected to your financial well-being as it pertains to your career. Now, when a planet goes retrograde, the effects are internalized, okay? Now, Pluto is not a personal planet, so but it is, transing a certain house, so it is going to have a personal effect on that level, and being the 10th house, and the fact that you've had Pluto here, Aries, for years, I think that this is actually a respite from any kind of challenging situations that you've had. Some of you in the last decade or even more may have experienced some sort of fall from grace as it related to your career or just your reputation, which the 10th house can represent. And so if you have been relentless, if you have been like overly ambitious, it may have come back to bite you because Pluto does have that karmic aspect to it. So it's very important for, I think, you in the next several months to kind of try to figure out what your personal power is, because a lot of times I have found, and especially if you're in a position of authority in your career, if you have people under you, because especially for a sign like Aries, being a cardinal sign and being ruled by Mars, there can be sometimes this tendency to kind of, when the Aries person is a bit imbalanced, or maybe you're going through other personal trials and tribulations, to kind of like become overly controlling and autocratic, and that can lead to abuse of power. And this is not just true of Aries. I mean, this can be true of anybody, but especially cardinal signs or fire signs, because fire signs tend to be can be very aggressive when they are not balanced. And, there's always going to be times when we feel imbalanced in our life if we are having certain difficulties, and then we tend to be controlling in the areas where we have more control. I mean, that's kind of human nature, but you have to kind of like see it for what it is worth, and seeing how destructive it is, and learning how to reclaim your personal power that has nothing to do with being able to boss people around. Or even just like if you've been very ambitious because you think that the way to feel more powerful is to be more successful in your career, and not understanding the limitations of that. And, that can, sometimes people do trip themselves up being too aggressive in their workplace, because they end up stepping on toes and alienating people from them, and that makes them feel even more powerless. So this is a great opportunity for you, but there's something with Jupiter there that could have, even to me, a lucky, expansive thing that can bring you that feeling of having more power. And then on the 27th, we have Mercury going into Taurus. So then Mercury is in that second house. So there's we're seeing this second house activity, and that brings a lot of focus to your finances. And I think in a positive way, you just had a new moon there. But also, the 10th house is an earth house as well, because it is ruled by Capricorn in the universal chart, which you mimic with your placements. So in any case, Aries, I hope that this made sense to you. Maybe you're already experiencing some of this. If you'd like a look at the year ahead or a natal chart interpretation, please check me out at rainamoonastrology.com. I have a link below. Take care.